What in the world does CostCo have to do with your retirement? More than you might actually think, or we're going to try to make those connections here on this episode of Aspire to Retire with Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart of Welcome Home Financial Partners. You can find them online at welcomehomefp.com. Real easy for you. It's right there in the podcast description. Click the link. It'll take you right there. Or just remember later on down the line, go to welcomehomefp.com. Find out more about the guys, their First Friday events if you're interested in attending those, or just set up a plan. That's the website. One more time, welcomehomefp.com. My name is Chris Swan, and as always, I'm pleased to be joined by Ralph Short, Tim Short, Scott Earhart. Gentlemen, glad to see you. How we doing?
Doing great.
Good. So we had a little pre-chatter beforehand about CostCo, and it ties into this episode here. Obviously, they're known for their hot dogs and the value that that entails. Another favorite, the rotisserie chickens, long time priced at $4.99. People love them so much. In fact, 137 million are sold each year. Here's one thing that people don't like lately. The new packaging comes in. They stop using the clamshells, and they're now using soft plastic bags, saying that it uses 75% less plastic. But the result, well, it's been a greasy mess because the bags, they leak. And in my personal experience, they get all over the counter. It's a whole mess. But let's turn this conversation to 401ks and retirement. Didn't think I was going to pivot there, but the leaks that may happen there and any potential leaks that people may find that could cause a mess in retirement. What are those? And also, if you want to talk about CostCo for a little bit, why not?
Well, first of all, if anybody, Costco exec or anybody's listening, if you want to bring a Costco to New Kent County, Virginia, I'd be really happy with that because I do like those chickens. And
starting the campaign right now.
Yeah, starting the campaign. Bring it to New Kent County, Virginia. I just don't have a Costco very close to me, but do love the chickens. Biggest leaks, the bag analogy is good. People don't understand there are ways your 401k can have leakage or loss or other than market turns. A lot of what I see are people, readily take loans against their 401k and don't fully understand how that's going to affect its accumulation ability. If you, retire with that low, what's going to happen there? Another thing that I think we all see a lot of is there are some fees involved in 401ks that people don't understand. And I'm not going to say they're not disclosed, but they're not made readily apparent to plan participants. So, what I'd tell anybody that if that chimed a bell in your head, give us a call, come in, sit down, let us take a look at your current positioning. We can certainly educate you on where your leakage is happening, what fees you're looking at, and what the parameters are going to be for you when it is time to harvest that out of the 401k and use it for your retirement.
But I also see clients that come in that left their 401ks or their retirement programs at work when they moved to a different job. I remember a lady came in that was worked for a hospital about 30 years ago, and she was only in her 50s, but she still had an account there, she thought, but she couldn't find any statements on anything. So we finally figured out where it was and called and got the runaround several weeks, but they had left it alone like it was. They had made several changes during those 30 years with the sponsor, and it just stayed there, but they were taking those fees out of that account, and now it's zero.
Oh, no.
And of course, she couldn't do anything about it because there wasn't anything left in there. But those are consequences of not understanding where your money is and can you roll it out into your present program where you're working? You could, or might be a better idea is to move it into an individual account so you know where it is. You're going to receive those statements. You can make changes without having to go through an HR department that you don't longer work for.
Yeah, a lot of folks nowadays, they think the 401k is the end all be all, and it's a good program, but it's not everything. So, when you take a look at folks that do hardship withdrawals or take money out for education or life events, that type of thing, is, hey, what if instead of putting in all of the money into the 401k, we put it into just a regular individual brokerage account or stock account and have that for those expenses or life events or what have you? Because 401k is great, but you're very limited as far as what you can actually invest your money into. So, when you sit there and look at it, we've seen a lot of people around this area that Scott talked about, people taking loans out, but then you also have to make sure that you're not using it as a savings account. And that's where I think a lot of people get in trouble because, hey, if I'm taking a loan or if I'm taking withdrawals or a hardship or what have you, this is not a savings account. This is something that is built for your retirement. That's what it's designed to do. So you've got rules that you have to follow. Of course, most folks nowadays know about the 59.5 rule. And that was kind of what it's for is, hey, we want to make sure that this plan is going to be there for retirement.
Because you're going to be responsible for your own paycheck as to how much you've accumulated and saved during your working years. I mean, that's just a fact of life. Money from heaven is not going to just drop in your lap when you retire. You have to take some steps. And the other thing I would say, Tim was talking about the 401k, I would say the number one thing that people need to do is participate in their 401k up to the matching program if you're fortunate enough to work for a company that does match. Because guess what, Chris? If you do not do that, you're giving up free money.
That's right.
So if you put in $100 a week and they were going to put in $100 a week, that's $5,000 a year that you gave up. When was the last time you said, I don't want $5,000, Chris?
Never.
I want to touch on a point that Ralph made earlier, talking about old 401ks. People change jobs. Our society now, most of us are going to have 2, 3, 4 jobs in our lifetime or our, adult lifetime, and leaving the old 401k behind. See a lot of people do that. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. And it comes down, like Ralph was talking about with his client, that it went all the way down to zero. That's a communication issue. When you're working for a company and you are contributing to you're participating in the 401k, you're getting statements from the custodian, HR is talking to you. When you leave that company, that really stops. The custodian's required to send you what? An annual statement, maybe. You don't have control over that. So I tell anybody that's listening, and I know there's a lot of them that have an old 401k that they just left at their old company and they thought they'd deal with it later. Kicking that can down the road is a really bad idea. We need to deal with it now, whether it's putting it into an IRA, rolling it into your own 401k, your current one. There's a lot of options out there, but you need to control your money so that you can control your retirement.
That same client I was talking about, she had moved 10 times in those period of time. So those statements weren't getting there.
Yeah.
So that was the issue.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a big mistake when it comes to 401ks, because we've seen it before where, somebody started, going back to somebody actually being loyal and being at the company for a certain amount of time, whether it's 20, 30, 40 years. But when they signed up, when they were 20 years old, they didn't know what they were doing when they chose their investments, and they've left it that way for 40 years. So that's not the right strategy to do either, even though you've got a lot more time, a lot more things can happen. But you got to have a strategy when it comes to your investments, and they need to change as you get closer to retirement.
I'm working with a guy right now that retired 2-3 years ago, and he brought in his statements. We were working on a roadmap, and he handed me one that was a 401k with $163,000 in it from the company he worked for 15 years. And I said, sir, why is this still there? And he goes, well, they were so good to me. I can't imagine taking that money away from them. I mean, we need to change that mindset. You earned that money. That you earned it. This is your money. Just because the company gave you the vehicle to accumulate that does not mean you need to leave it with them. Get control of it. Get it in a position where you're comfortable with it and you can make all of the decisions about that money.
And I would say also, does the company know your strategies right now, what your goals are? Probably not. So you need to take control. And that's the thing. It's all based on what you want and you alone.
And we've got to remember 401ks typically, or any type of employer sponsored account, those are accumulation based vehicles. Well, guess what? You retire at some point. We got to start harvesting that. We got to start using that. We need to start. So most of those employer sponsored plans are not designed to help you distribute to yourself to live the life you want to lead in an efficient fashion. Whereas if you take control of it, move it out of there, you can put it into vehicles that are designed to help you distribute it as efficiently as possible.
Retirement accounts are not retirement plans. Sure, they're a component of it, but how do you actually turn that into that income, into part of that retirement plan? Well, reaching out to the guys at Welcome Home Financial Partners is a great start. As you guys were talking, you reminded me of 2 stories. I actually just recently, in the past month, former coworker of mine, a friend of mine, Casey, if you're listening, sorry, airing your dirty laundry here. He reached out to me and said, hey, do you remember who HR is at this employer that we both worked at? This was 12 years ago, guys. They have changed, I know for a fact, several times. I said, well, This is who it was, and I know it changed once, but after that, I lost track because I moved my 401k. He had not. I don't know how it unfolded for him, but, as the story that you put out there, out of sight, out of mind, sometimes turns into out of money if you're not really paying attention. And then you guys reminded me of when I got my very first job, bussing tables. Didn't apply then. I was 16. My mom said to me, you're going to get a job one day that's going to have a 401k. It's going to have that employer match. Take advantage of that. That is free money. That has lived with me my entire life. Like, I always make sure that is taken care of. The other part, she said, never touch that 401k. Don't withdraw early. Don't touch it, obviously, because you got to take it out at some point or another. So, Mom, thanks for that advice. But beyond that, turning to someone, figuring out how to turn that into income, figuring out how to withdraw that. And, if there are ways to, beyond the employer match, better ways for you to allocate that money, allocate those investments to prevent these leaks in your 401k. All starts with sitting down with the team like Welcome Home Financial Partners. We've made it real easy for you. You can click the link right there in the podcast description, take you to the website, find out more about the guys, how to attend those First Friday events that are coming up. And then, sit down and speak with the team. WelcomeHomeFP.com. Make sure you take charge of your retirement accounts. Make sure you take personal responsibility for them and figure out how to make them work better for you, because you spent all this time working for the money. Now make that money work for you. Welcome Home Financial Partners. WelcomeHomeFP.com is how you get started. Want to thank you for joining us here on Aspire to Retire with Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Ahart. As we always do, really appreciate you taking the time. Have a great day ahead of you. Gentlemen, thank you for the time. Hope you have a great day as well. As we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with the final word.
Thank you, Chris. So if this conversation hits home, if you've recently changed jobs or in the past and you've got an old 401k and you're interested in either rolling it to an IRA or see what kind of options that you do have, we'd love the opportunity to talk with you. So pick up the phone, you can give us a call or visit our website. And we want to thank you for listening. You guys take care.
All content is for information purposes only. It is not intended to provide any tax or legal advice or provide the basis for any financial decision, nor is it intended to be a projection of current or future performance or indication or future results. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Welcome Home Financial Partners and Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC. The information contained in this material has been derived from sources believed to be reliable, but is not guaranteed as to accuracy and completeness and does not purport to a complete analysis of the materials discussed. All information and ideas should be discussed in detail with your individual advisor prior to the implementation. Each individual investor's situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstance. Advisor services are offered by Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Virginia. Being registered as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Insurance products and services are offered through WPI Holding, Virginia Insurance License Number 138509, an affiliated company. The information contained herein should in no way be construed or interpreted as a solicitation to sell or offer to sell advisory services to any resident of any state other than the state of Virginia or where otherwise legally permitted. Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC, and Welcome Home Financial Partners are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency.